Hi, dear students, hope you are all fine. Let us begin our history class. For class 10th, in Indian history we deal Indian national movement from 1857 revolt to Indian independence. The first chapter of Indian history, it is the first war of independence. It is otherwise called the Great Uprising of 1857. In this chapter, the main topics for study is causes of the Great Uprising, events during the Great Uprising, and the results or consequences of the 1857 revolt. Today's class, we shall discuss about the causes of the Great Uprising of 1857. When we discuss the causes of the 1857 revolt or the Great Uprising, it has been again divided into various groups, various categories, that is political causes, social and religious causes, economic causes, military causes, and last the immediate cause. So we will discuss one after another. Now let us move on to the political causes. The first thing is the annexation policy introduced by Lord Dalhousie. Lord Dalhousie had introduced an all-round annexation policy, and he abolished the pensions for the princes and the Indian rulers. Moreover, he had introduced doctrine of lapse. Now let us see what is this doctrine of lapse. According to doctrine of lapse, if a king or ruler of the dependent state or a subordinate state died without a heir, his adopted son did not allow to occupy the throne, and the state was annexed by the British. So by following this policy, Dalhousie annexed Satara, Jhansi and Nagpur. Now the second important point, the second important political causes, we can see that disrespect shown to Bahadur Shah II. You know that when the British came here in India, the Mughals were the rulers of India. The British announced that the Bahadur Shah Zafar will be the last Mughal emperor, and thereafter his heirs, his successors would lose the titleship of the king, and not only that, his successors must leave their royal residence, that is Red Fort. It hurt the sentiments of the Indian Muslims. The third point, when we see that ill treatment shown to Nana Sahib and Rani Lakshmi Bai. Nana Sahib was the adopted son of Peshwa Baji Rao II, and after the death of Peshwa Baji Rao II, the British did not recognize Nana Sahib as the ruler of the Marathas. Likewise, in the case of Rani Lakshmi Bai, she was not allowed to adopt a son. So both of these rulers became the sworn enemies of the British. The next thing is annexation of Awadh. Lord Dalhousie annexed Awadh under the pretext of misgovernance. So as a result of this annexation of Awadh, thousands of nobles, gentlemen and officers, soldiers, they throw out from their professions. Then another thing is disbanding the armies of the annexed states. So once the British annexed the states, they disbanded the armies of the rulers. In the place of that, they have appointed their own armies. As a result of that, most of the soldiers, they lost their livelihood. Another thing is corrupt and inefficient administration of the British. Most of the British officers were corrupt and even inefficient. The main aim of the English officers was to enrich themselves at the cost of Indians. So most of them were corrupt and even inefficient. Now we move on to the social and religious causes. Under this topic, we have the first thing we have to see that the interference of the British in social and even the cultural customs of Indians. The first point in this section, we have to see that the Christian missionaries, with the support of the British government, started to convert both the Hindus and Muslims into Christianity. They started to interfere in the customs, beliefs of Hindus and Muslims. And to convert to Christianity, they offered jobs, rewards, promotions, etc. The next thing is social and religious reforms. Even you know that under British rule, the sati system had been abolished. Infanticide and polygamy were forbidden, and widow remarriage were legalized. So all these social reforms were against to the most of the Orthodox Indians were against to these changes. Then resentment among the Hindus and the Muslim priests. The spread of Western culture and education gave a severe blow to the honor, influence and privileges of the Orthodox Pandits and the Maulvis. And another important point under the social and religious causes is introduction of railways and telegraphs. The introduction of railways and telegraphs, it created suspicion among the Indians. Most of them felt that these measures were introduced to propagate Christianity. Whoever not to convert into Christianity, they will be thrown into the railway lines and hanged to the telegraph posts. And many of the new laws were introduced this period. So this also Indians considered it was to interfere, it was to destroy their age-old beliefs. So one important thing is the government imposed taxes on the lands belong to the temples and the mosques and even charitable institutions. In 1850, Lord Dalhousie introduced a law according to which it enabled a convert to Christianity to inherit his ancestral property. Next is ill treatment of the Indians. The British looked down upon all the Indians and treated them with arrogance and often insulted them. They considered themselves as the ruling class and they were having a feeling of superiority.